Kevin, this is unbelievable, and it's almost like it's not tomorrow's world, it's not science fiction, it's science fact. There's going to be a text message to warn us in case World War breaks out all over again. So what's happening?
Yeah, a national warning message will be sent directly to every mobile phone across the UK later this month or in early March. Again, so they're testing it as a nationwide message. Really, it's to do with Russian. It's to do with in case of a nuclear attack or bomb has been detonated or something else happens again. So we're kind of DEFCON, whatever you want to call it. But the world has changed. We're in a brave new world.
What about that? If it's hacked, though? I mean, can you imagine if that's hacked and a boy goes here, let's have a bit of crack here,
It happened in America a few years ago where a national emergency alert was sent out incorrectly as well, within one region as well, and it did cause panic. But again, you always have that, because a state broadcaster can be taken over in the future as well with viral videos and everything else, and you could literally be looking at Joe Biden on your screen and he's declaring this and that, and it can be a fake video because AI has become so good now.
And I think there's still a relationship between the BBC and the government that I think it's something. Colleagues will remind me. Is it the Pips has to go out on Radio 4 to tell you the Prime Minister's like, if there's World War, something happens on Radio 4 to let people know, we're all right, we're still all alive. I think there is that. That's an old relationship.
It's funny, and really, it's probably worth people buying those cheap old radios as well, because the internet is vulnerable. In the future, you might want one of the safest ways in the future maybe is using FM radio to get a lot of our broadcasts.
I like a radio. I do like an old-fashioned radio, and I always shall. Kevin, Twitter will charge users for text message authentication. Now, what does that mean? You don't use Twitter for text messages, do you?
Well,
what?
Two-factor authentication is that thing where you log into the site on a new device and it'll ask you for a password. Sorry, it'll ask you to input a PIN, and the PIN is either sent to you by message or you can generate it from an authentication app. And most people have been using this two-factor, but Twitter have removed it. Again, so there's outroar from security specialists saying so many people's accounts will now be weakened because they have to pay for it from now on. However, it's not ideal. It's not a perfect system. The apps which you bring up your app, get a PIN, go back into Twitter and type it in, that's more secure than SMS because the underlying Signal 7 protocol can be intercepted by SMS, so hackers can still get an SMS being sent to you.
Right.
But in other words, most people's Twitter accounts are literally more insecure in the next few weeks because it has been removed, and that's dangerous because one thing, two-factor authentication, and that should be turned on all your accounts, especially where your credit card is, because that means even if someone does find your password and login for your site from a data breach online, they won't. The last step will require them to have the PIN which is sent to your number, and you're the only person who should have the phone.
As long as they haven't pinched the phone as well.
Exactly. Well, then you're snookered.
Yeah, you are.
That's your last worry.
Pardon me, I've had a chest. The Burnfoot bottle is working, but I'm still a bit to go with the old chest. Right, let's go to Drummondere. Shall we? In the Republic, Kevin. I seem to remember Drummondere on the sleepy banks of the Shannon back when I was taking weigh-ins up and down the Shannon in boats. And two fellas have made a pound or two, I see.
They did the third biggest startup in the world after SpaceX, which is Elon Musk's baby, and TikTok, which everyone knows, is Stripe. And Stripe was founded by two Irish guys, the Collison brothers again. So
what is Stripe?
It's a payment. It allows websites to take payments again. Zoom and all these companies again. It's not something consumers generally use. It's built by the websites and the Amazon. In other words, used by businesses around the world. Again, and they've done amazingly again. So these two guys went again. The Collison brothers are unique, really. I mean, they had the highest ever leaving certs between them. And John used to just read a book in class. He was so smart. Again.
Patrick and John Collison.
Yeah.
30 and 32-year-old.
They are, yeah.
Worth a bob?
Oh, they're worth billions now. I mean, the company's valued 115 billion, and this is a unicorn. A unicorn in business is where it's not publicly listed.
Okay. So they own it all?
Well, they don't own it. They got investors. I mean, they got Moritz Capital. They got some of the big Sequoia, again, the biggest hedge fund in the world, probably. Investors behind them. But again, they have done amazingly well, again, and they're... Just again, it's an Irish. I mean, they're based in San Francisco, but they have offices in Ireland and the Middle East and around the world. But again, just it could be one of the richest Irish companies ever.
Well, for two brothers, it says in my briefing, born in Limerick, raised in Tip, it's been quite the tale. To say Drummondere is rural is understating it, says John. The pair grew up under their dad, Dennis, an engineer who ran a hotel, and a microbiologist mother, Lily. There's something very charming about that. They get two bookish sons, and they end up sort of
Oh, for sure. I mean, they were given freedom from a young age, as they say. You know, I mean, like I said, they were taken out of school at a young age again. And, you know, John actually won the BT Young Scientist of the Year for writing this programming language. And he actually became second in Europe, you know, when the Irish went to Europe. And actually, he married the overall European winner, which was, you know, his wife now.
God. It's interesting stuff. See, we wouldn't know this unless we had you in. Just a quick word about remote driving in the UK from abroad should not be allowed. How can you remote drive from abroad? And remote driving in the UK from abroad should not be allowed, says the Law Commission.
Yeah.
How do you remote drive in the UK if you're in Fuerteventura?
Yeah, it's a strange one. But warehouses and mines, you know, for years have been controlled by remote operators again. So they say
What?
Like you have these large trucks in the Tinto Ria, one of the largest mines in the world. They're huge, and they're controlled by operators again. They just drive them. But again,
sitting in Milton Keynes.
Yeah, exactly.
Driving the thing in Australia.
A bit like drones nowadays. You know, the drones. You know, the pilots are sitting back in a base in America, and the drones are flying over whatever country they're trying to, whatever else. But strangely enough, when the Law Commission looked at it, that there is no specific legal requirement for the driver to be inside the vehicle they're operating. It's neither prohibited nor expressly not allowed. No one ever seen this coming.
But what happens if you're rubbish and you're driving it from Madagascar and you crash the thing?
Exactly.
And they'll say, well, but your man's out in Madagascar with no jurisdiction.
Oh, of course, the guy in Madagascar could be, you know, could be high and drunk. Of course he would be. How would you enforce that? So again, we're seeing a brave new world where we have these rules which have regulations which have to be looked at again. And one of them is, again, should we have? It's the car rental companies who want to have these autonomous vehicles again, and they want to control. You know, so again, we're looking at regulations we never thought we would have to look at again. Because the dangerous part is where you have half the road as autonomous cars and half the road as human drivers again. So that's the problem. You nearly have to have a switch over in one night again. And believe it or not, Sweden in the 60s overnight switched from driving on the right to the left.
Yeah.
Overnight, and there was no fatalities, no accidents.
That's because they're smart in Sweden, and they do what they're told. Kevin, a pleasure. Thank you as always. Ulster University professor Kevin Curran.